coverage if we are able to become the breadbasket for many countries around the world. So this sector is not something that countries do well in their early stage of development, but given the change in globalization and given climate change, this sector can be a sector for the future as well. And as you see here on the left side, allied sectors in agriculture have been able to grow at much faster rate than the mainstream crops and food grains. So therein lies the clue as to what are all the elements from those areas which can be applied to traditional crop areas that will lift the overall growth rate of the agriculture sector. In terms of infrastructure development, we have done quite well in the last 10 years in particular, whether in terms of introducing new trains, new airports, we're contributing to reduced turnaround time in ports coming down from 48 hours to 30 hours in the last couple of years, and capacity additions in the power sector, falling data cost, and expansion in telecom infrastructure. These are some of the illustrations we have picked up for highlighting here, but there are more details in chapter 6. We also, last time itself, we wrote about the turnaround logistics costs also have come down in the country, and turnaround time in toll booths, etc., and road transport are all contributing to higher production and distribution efficiency in the country. Particularly with respect to the urban India, cities declared open defecation free have gone from 15% to saturation coverage, and household latrines constructed, public toilets constructed, and waste processed as a percentage of waste generated. There is tangible and substantial progress in many of these dimensions. On the right side, what you see is that PM Awas Yojana urban and also Amrut in terms of water coverage, 70% tap water and 62% sewage coverage, and also the expansion of metro rail system. The reason we put it up here is that public transportation has to play a much bigger role in our energy transition and energy demand going forward, much more than in fact private mobility solutions, including e-mobility. Public transportation holds the key, and that is why not only we have 1,000 kilometers operational, we have equally another 1,000 kilometers that are underway. So this will, if we can integrate the public transportation network, our carbon emissions and also cleaner air and road congestion, all these dimensions will be addressed by utilizing public transportation infrastructure more efficiently. In terms of rural economy, the Swachh Bharat mission, 11.8 crore toilets in villages, Mission Amrit Sarovar. Again, if you look at the chapter on in agriculture and in industry, we talk about the importance of rejuvenating water bodies in contributing to the entire community development rather than purely providing water sufficiency. The National Health Mission, Sansad Adarsh Gram Yojana, empowering members of parliament to adopt villages and contributing to village development. Jal Jeevan Mission, 12.8 crore households provided, and Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Grameen, 2.7 crore houses completed. Now, in terms of infrastructure, it is not enough to talk only about the physical infrastructure. We have done quite well with respect to at the general government level, not just the union government. The overall expenditure has gone up from 10.4 lakh crores across the country between center and states to 25.7 lakh crores on social services, primarily health, education, etc. And this is a growth rate of more than 2.5. This is the multiple of about 2.5 times in the last 7 years. And in terms of the building blocks for better education, the foundational literacy and numeracy, central and state government initiatives are covered. One is the Nipun Bharat initiative, the mission to ensure that every child attains foundational literacy and numeracy by the end of grade 3 by 2026. Some of the specific examples are also covered in the economic survey. Initiatives and interventions in states like Bihar and Gujarat are also given adequate coverage in chapter 11 of the economic survey. Apart from that, we also highlighted several private sector not-for-profit initiatives in these dimensions, whether with respect to learning or social and emotional learning, which are not typically covered in classroom textbook learning, all the private sector initiatives or not-for-profit initiatives that can be replicated and scaled up, and specific state-level initiatives that are working well, which can also be considered as possible models to be adopted elsewhere. We have covered them in great detail in chapter 11. The good news is that the proof of the pudding is there in the data. The latest annual State of Education report for 2024, which Pratham brought out a couple of days ago, the proportion of standard 3 children in government schools who can read up to standard 2 has gone up from 16.3% to 23.4%. And in middle school, major improvements in basic reading and arithmetic seen in all grades, and the progress at the high school level, more than 75% can do basic digital tasks. And the same report also covers the availability of infrastructure that facilitates learning in the classroom in terms of midday meal being served, drinking water availability, usable toilets, and usable toilets for girls in particular as well. In all these areas, in the last 6 years, there has been noticeable improvement as well. Skilling initiatives found a prominent place in the last budget presented in July. And many of these initiatives, in fact, it looks as if I have to give you a specific glossary for this slide alone in terms of the number of abbreviations that are being used here. CTS stands for Craftsman Training Scheme in Industrial Training Institutes. PMKVY is Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, and Jan Shikshan Sansthan is JSS, and NSTI is the National Skill Training Institutes. NAPS stands for National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme, and NCVET stands for National Council for Vocational Education Training. With this glossary out of the way, now we can look at the statistical landmarks and achievements that we have presented to you here in this slide. So, in terms of Craftsman Training Scheme, 1.24 crore people have enrolled, and in the Kaushal Vikas Yojana, 1.57 crore people trained, etc. I will refrain from reading out all the statistics out here, but the important point is the industry partnership that is coming up in the apprenticeship promotion scheme and in the internship scheme as well.